We have seen record job growth. We have seen record corporate investment. And as a result, we have seen record receipts, surplus after surplus after surplus. More people are moving here for the first time in 10 years. And that is all translated into financial flexibility for us to provide even more tax relief. And so today I announced our initiative to provide no taxes on tips to all of those hard-working folks in the hospitality and restaurant and food industry, personal services. This is over 250,000 Virginians who work so hard. This is a great way for them to keep more money in their pocket as opposed to giving it to a government. We're already running surpluses, and therefore no taxes on tips is going to become the mantra in Virginia.
So Governor Youngkin is talking about one of those Donald Trump economic policies, no tax on tips, and we're seeing it start to get some legs and take some action. Let's get to our friend Steve Moore, the expert when it comes to all things economics, and his new book, The Trump Economic Miracle and the Plan to Unleash Prosperity Again. Welcome back, Steve. It's good to have you here.
Well, Merry Christmas. Great to be with you. And I love that. You know, I live in Virginia. I had not heard that news that the no tax on tips is coming to Virginia. It should come to every state. And of course, we'll do that at the federal level when Trump gets into office. And incidentally, isn't it amazing? You know, Trump is not really president yet. He's not president for another 4 weeks, but it seems like he's in charge. And I don't know, have you seen Joe Biden at all? But I see Donald Trump all over the place. He's meeting with foreign leaders. He's bringing capital in the United States at a big press conference today about a huge, I think it was $50 to $100 billion of new investment in the United States. $100 billion by a Japanese company that's going to invest in, I think, 100,000 jobs or something.
Yes.
So it's just amazing. He is racing out of the gate. And as I said, he doesn't get inaugurated till January 20th. But it just seems like he's the president.
Yes, and it's kind of like nobody seems to mind. I keep saying somebody's been playing president for a long time. It wasn't Joe Biden. Whoever was pulling the reins before doesn't seem like they're trying to stop Trump. You know, talk to me a little bit about Donald Trump's ability to make deals, because the SoftBank CEO Masayoshi, who was talking about this $100 billion investment, I don't know if you've seen this particular part of it, but as Trump was introducing Masa to the press conference, he was like, "I'd like to make it actually $200 billion." and Masa kind of gets.
I did see that.
I mean, he's making deals in the middle of announcing the current deal that they have on the table.
Yeah, and and he also said this is the first of many big deals that are going to be forthcoming in the weeks and months ahead. You know, look, he was very good in the press conference today, and he basically said, look, we're going to cut tax rates. We're going to have one of the lowest tax rates in the world on businesses. We're going to get rid of some of these onerous regulations that make it expensive to do business. We're going to produce more American energy, which reduces our energy costs in America. And this is going to be like a magnet, he said, to bring companies and jobs back to the United States. And he's right about that. And then he was saying that these tax cuts that he's talking about may even pay for themselves, because as you get more business and more people working, you get more tax revenue. And I thought, gee, that's the Laffer curve. That's the Reagan idea, and it always seems to work. So I think it's amazing, and I just love, by the way, his demeanor. He's not, I've always said, and I've done your show for many years now, and I'm a friend of Donald Trump's, and I'm an incredible admirer of his, and I've worked with them, but I've always said, there's a good Trump and a bad Trump. But boy, all we've seen since, the last 3 months is the good Trump. Mm-hmm. He's been under control. He's been calm. He's been, magnanimous. He's been modest, but he's gone out and he's just doing the job. He's not name calling. And his approval rating today, Annie, is higher than it has ever been.
Man, it's so exciting to see this. I revert to your book, The Trump Economic Miracle and the Plan to Unleash Prosperity Again. It sure is simpler to unleash prosperity when you have people begging to come have dinner at Mar-a-Lago, like the Bezoses and the Tim Cooks and the Zuckerbergs of the world. And then you have these world leaders who are making these phone calls.
Oh, yeah.
I'm kind of like jaw dropped at how much prosperity could be in front of us, knowing that he may not have all of that friction as he moves forward to try to make America great again.
Yeah, I think I had said many months ago on your show that we might have violence with Trump won, and he did win, and I was completely wrong on that. It's been very calm in the cities, and thank God. And because and so many of my Democratic friends are who hated Trump 8 years ago, today say, well, he's doing some pretty good things. He's got some good ideas. So people are more open-minded to him, and so he's got an incredible amount of political capital right now. I want to race right out of the gates. He told me he's going to be signing a stack of executive orders, an inch thick. The first day he's in office, the first hours he's in office, he's chomping at the bit to do this. So he's going to race out of the gates like Secretariat. It's going to be a really exciting first 100 days, and I think you're going to really see the dividends from this. But I'm not here to tell you, though, that everything's fine and dandy because, I'm looking at some of the numbers, and the inflation is not over. Some of these lingering effects of Bidenomics are still going to be with us. So, I don't want to be too Pollyannish here because there's a lot of work to be done.
We're speaking with Steve Moore. He's a distinguished fellow in economics at the Heritage Foundation, a Trump economic advisor as well. A lot of what we have seen from Donald Trump on the campaign as far as promises go is very much so America first. And I know I know if I say to you something about tariffs, you're going to tell me you're a free trade guy. I know that's coming, but I already know that.
Me too well.
I do know that, Steve. But when I see the way he's talking about it, reciprocity with our trade partners across the globe, it seems as though he's not just protecting the American consumer, which is a lot of people who want to just oppose Trump are like, it's going to cost a lot more for the American consumer. Yeah. He's talking about protecting American business, American manufacturing. Tell me about what this direction of where he's going, including the tariffs, how this might affect our American economy.
Well, it's a really good point you're making, and I have to say that he made this point in the press conference today when he said, we will have tariffs. He said, but if companies come into the United States and create jobs here in Michigan, Ohio, Missouri, California, Maine, then they're only going to have to pay a 15% tax. So, in other words, what he's doing is saying, okay, if you're going to buy stuff that's coming in from, let's say China, you're going to have to pay a tariff on that at the border. But if you make it here, you'll pay less tax. And so if that's the case, I'm very open-minded to that. I mean, look, I don't like tariffs or taxes. I don't like, and some things have to be made abroad. Some things, there's a law of comparative advantage. But to the extent that we can make more things here employing American workers, I'm all in favor of that. How about you?
Yeah, 100%. And being able to buy American, made in America. And I think that's a really exciting thing moving forward. One last quick question before we let you go. We're speaking with Steve Moore right now. One of the other big things, he's got economic, first day initiatives that he's going to invest in. But of course, the border is another one. And one thing I keep hearing a lot of the people on the leftist side of the media say, if you deport these people, who's going to do those jobs? And, I'm thinking about times in American history where we've preyed upon super cheap labor for production. I'm wondering what your thoughts are on the economy of the deportation of a lot of these people who are here, many of them who do have jobs.
It's a tough question because look, let's start with what we can and all should agree on, which is you start with the criminals and the people who would do damage to the country and have done harm to the American citizens, and the drug dealers, the terrorists, the criminal element. If you're in the country illegally and you've committed a crime, you're out of here. Right. And I don't understand why Joe Biden has let these people stay. And that's a lot. That's probably 1 million people or so that will have to leave. Now, what do we do about people who've come into the country and they're just working and, trying to make a good living for themselves and so on? I don't know. I'm not so sure I want to see those people. Look, we need workers in this country. The birth rate is falling. 5,000 baby boomers are retiring every day. And so I'm very undecided about this. I do not want to see mass deportation. I don't think the American people do either. But maybe, what do we do about these folks? Do we make them pay a penalty? Do we have them go back and then reapply, for admittance? I don't know. It's a tough one for me because, people are just coming in here working and, hard and that kind of thing. Well, that's they shouldn't have come in illegally, but they're not doing harm. Anybody who's working is not doing harm to our country. Now, if somebody comes in and goes on welfare, we can't come into this country and just go on welfare for government benefits. Or we're going to bankrupt the country.
Yeah. I just think that when Trump is addressing the border issue and the economy issue, I feel like the deal maker is going to make some deals that make some hardliners in the political parties bristle quite a bit. But I think realistically going forward, there's an opportunity to fix a system overall.
Well,
that
one thing he did say in his press conference, because he's been talking a bit about this, and he said, "Look, we don't want to separate families. Of course, we don't. We don't want to separate children from their parents and that kind of thing. So we have to work it out in a humane but economically sensible way. But let's start with why would Joe Biden let these criminals stay here? Is he trying to hurt our country?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay. Completely agree.
And then of course you have to. I forgot the other thing you have to do is stop the illegal entry. Right. You just got to. He talked a lot about this at the. By the way, did you see that Biden is trying to sell off the materials that we need to build the wall?
A nickel on the dollar.
It's crazy. It's subversive.
Yep.
And Trump was angry about that. I mean, he had a very good press conference today. He was very much under. But you could tell he was angry. He's like, why would Joe Biden do this? Now we're going to have to buy it back at 20 times what we sold it for.
We're 35 days away from Inauguration Day, Steve. I have a countdown on my phone, so I can always know how close we are. It makes me smile each time. Thank you so much for your time today. We always appreciate you.
Okay, Annie, have a great week. And
yes. Merry Christmas to you, Steve Moore. We appreciate you.